What's up, everybody? It's Critical. Today, the Slay the Spire 2 drama has me more wet than the last time your mom came over last night.
All right. Basically, the Ironclad has voice lines, and all of the voice lines is him saying slurs. In Slay the Spire 1, there was something called correlated randomness, which essentially, I don't understand a lot of this. Computers cannot simulate real randomness, right? They cannot simulate real randomness. Instead, randomness in computer language is more of pseudo-randomness that's created by patterns that are so confusing to the human brain that you don't really know the difference between it. In Slay the Spire 1, it wasn't all that bad, and it was also fixed with a simple mod called RNG fix. But for instance, there was certain events in Slay the Spire 1 called shrine events, and if you saw a shrine event, you knew that your next question mark room was always a fight. And so if you knew the list of shrine events in your head, it was difficult to unsee the fact that, oh, I click on a question mark and I know that it's going to be, the next question mark room is going to be a fight. There was also, like, if your first combat was a singular cultist in Slay the Spire 1, then it meant that your next question mark room was going to be, like, something like that. There was even down to, like, defect lightning orb RNG that you could kind of predict in Slay the Spire 1. And a lot of those correlated things are all, since it's the pseudo-randomness patterns, they're all connected together. So once you see one of them, you know the rest of them down to a lot of it. And we had heard from the Slay the Spire devs that they were trying to get rid of the correlated randomness, and you can see in the code that they did try to get rid of that pseudo-randomness being able to be solved in the game, until a couple of days ago, a user named JMac was trying to break the game in the most beautiful way possible. I'll show you just a small little clip of it right now. They essentially got Nightmare, Transfigure, and Royalties, and they ended up for hours and hours and hours and hours. You can see that this is quite literally like a 7-hour fight. Pinged themselves in like 2 million gold. And that's cool. That's awesome. Like, that's fucking sick. That is one of the coolest things that I've seen in the game. But there is another user that their name is Tickman, TCKMN, that saw that, and they really wanted to do something similar, but they wanted to do it with Scythe, where they would find a seed that would generate them Scythe and Transfigure so that they could put a bunch of replay onto a Scythe, and then it played like 1,000 times early on in an Act 1 combat, and you get Scythe up to like 1 billion trillion damage, and then you can go around and you can just fucking lay your dick out on the game. And so what they did was they plugged in to the Slay the Spire, they basically plugged in some code to tell Slay the Spire to find them a seed that had Scythe, Transfigure, and was also in the Overgrowth. And when they did that, and they told Slay the Spire to produce them a seed that did that, no seeds came up. 0. There were 0 seeds in the entire game, in the trillions of seeds that can be generated, that allowed them to have Transfigure and Scythe at the same time in Act 1 through transforms. There was no seeds in the game that allowed them to transform into Transfigure and Scythe. So they couldn't get those cards. But then they wanted the Overgrowth because the Overgrowth has more exploitable fights where you can just sit and the enemy doesn't continue to scale. And you can just sit there and farm like JMac did. And they turned it from the Overgrowth to the Underdocs, and it immediately populated a seed that it could happen in. And that raised an alarm to them. And so then they made a scatter plot of all of the transform rolls, and it came out like this. That's a fucking pattern. That's not random. And so then they ended up over the last few days making this entire 6,840 word document. And if you just need to know some basic things, they put it at the top so that us idiots can understand. Because again, I don't understand this entirely. But if, again, I want to real quick disclaimer this. You can play the game normally right now, not know any of this information, and you will still have fun. But if you cross this line now, until this gets patched, which probably will be soon, because I can tell you right now to make you not so worried, it's actually a really easy fix. You probably will struggle to play the basic game until this gets patched in the next few days. Just letting you know this. I read it last night because I can't not read this shit, and it is bad. So, just as you've been warned, if you pick up Niao's Bones in the Underdogs, this gives you 2 Niao starts and a curse. The random curse has a 54% chance to get debt. One in the chat, if you felt unlucky that you kept getting debt. Now, in a previous patch, this was always, what is it? What is it? Fucking, what's the one that gets rid of itself after 5 combats? This used to be that curse. But now it's always debt. Guilty. That's the one. It used to be guilty. It was always guilty. 54% of the time it was guilty. And now it's this. It is impossible to receive rebound from the trash heap event. It's there. It's just nobody can find it. And now this is a major one. Your first fight is 76% likely to drop a potion in the Underdogs and 4% likely to drop a potion in the Overgrowth. That's not 40%, which it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 40%. But these correlations not only... So basically, it's not just that the RNG is fucked in the game. It's that the things are correlated together. So much so that you can even use your starting bonus to predict what doll you will get in the doll room. And if you know more information about your run, you could do even more. But it's like even down to that. You can see which doll you are more likely to get based on which starting bonus you pick, which is the problem. The fact that it's all correlated together and it's all linked together is the problem. So that basically with your starting bonus, you can kind of figure it all out. And if you look at it, if you pick Niao's Bones in the Underdog, the random curse you receive actually has the following appropriate distribution. 54% of the time it is debt, 40% of the time it is decay, 1% is doubt, 3% is writhe, and it can't be any of the other curses, except 0.1% of the time it's clumsy. Which is crazy because you can't get normality. That's a huge buff. Now, if you were in the Overgrowth, it's actually much more likely that you get writhe than shame. Now, these are like a lot of different things, down to if you take the large capsule, large capsule will only appear in about 1.65% of the time in the Underdogs acts because everything is correlated with everything. If you take small capsule, based on what curse relic, so they call it the curse start, basically the bottom one that gives you a negative thing. Whatever negative modifier you see at the bottom will indicate what your likelihood is of a different type of curse or a different type of relic based on the small capsule. So if you see a leafy poultice, it is 100% of the time you will get an uncommon or a rare relic from the small capsule. But it gets even worse. This is one of the most egregious ones in my opinion. The Transform 2 and Choose a Rare. Since these are both Corpse relics, they have intrinsic biases, but they generate multiple cards so you can predict the first one. The Leafy Poultice has 22 possibilities out of 80 card pools, with some significantly more likely than others. So you quite literally can't get some cards from the Leafy Poultice, and you can see what that distribution of cards is based on each character. And if you can't tell, it's all alphabetical order. It's only the first 22 cards. I think. Is it? I actually don't even know. Is it the first 22 cards? It might not be. I might be speaking out of my ass, but it looks like it is. Either way, it is in alphabetical order. Either way. And then in Overgrowth. Wait, is it just the next ones in the Overgrowth? Oh my God. Wait, is it just the next ones in... I didn't even look at this. Wait, it's just the... Oh my... And then, this is the worst one. The first option from the Hefty Tablet has 11 possibilities. This is the one that you get to choose a random rare card in Overgrowth. And 3 possibilities in the Underdogs. The Hefty Tablets can only show you 3 cards. It's even down to lightning orb RNG. You felt like you were unlucky with your lightning orbs? Hey, it might not actually be your fault. In the first fight of the underdog, specifically your first orb is 75% of the time going to hit on the left guy. This applies to evoking with dual cast or the passive if you don't evoke it. Now, why is this? I don't understand it entirely, but what I kind of read through this is they did actually put something in the code that is supposed to mitigate against the RNG being correlated together. But then there's another pattern of RNG that everything kind of gets fed into afterwards, and it's some like really old, like super hyper outdated RNG pattern, and essentially that's what's like kind of fucking everything up. So we can keep going on. Again, you can't get rebound from the trash heap. Like, here's the output of what you get from the trash heap based on, again, your starting bonus. Like, based on, it's, again, not even which starting bonus you took. It's which starting bonus you saw. If you saw this is, if you saw the hefty tablet, you are getting an outmaneuver from the trash heap. I saw rebound. Things are changed. This is the current patch, Kai. This is current patch. Things have been changed throughout the patches, but essentially the randomness has been the same. But I feel like one of the main reasons why people haven't noticed is because with each patch, things have been changed. I'm pretty sure. Here's some stuff that is potion drops, question marks, blah, 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 blah. Again, the doll room. You can even all the way into Act 3. You can, based on, again, how much gold you got in your first fight, it will tell you where the relic box will be inside of the divination event. Things are just correlated together. Now, again, you can go into ancient rewards. You can go into blah, 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 blah. There's so much stuff. Okay, now, here's the thing. They essentially, like, wrote a couple of lines of code, and they were like, this couple of lines of code fixes this. If this random fucking user has already fixed it, then it shouldn't be hard for the devs to. And I think that's what we should take away from this, is that they tried to fix it, and they tried to fix it in the second game, and it didn't get fixed, and instead got slightly worse. We didn't know about it till now, and again, it's one of those things where if you don't know about it, it doesn't hurt yourself. But now that I know about it, I can't stop knowing about it. And it's like down to the simple things of, I know that most of the time my lightning orb is more likely to hit the left guy in Act 1. I know most of the time that if I see a hefty tablet and I'm in the underdogs, I know what cards I might see. Like, I know that if I'm in one act that I'm going to see a potion always after my first combat. And if I'm in a different act, I'm not going to see a potion after my first combat, right? It's just a lot of stuff that is all correlated together. And TCK doesn't go into a lot of it, but there's even more that you could figure out. Like, basically, if you saw a potion in your first combat, you had Meow's Bones as your curse relic, and your first event was the mirror event, then you could probably predict, like, or not even predict, you could probably know things that were coming up later in the run, like things that were just absolutely correlated together. This problem is simple to fix. For example, replacing the system dot with this drop-in 50-line replacement I threw together would be a 3-line change in the Spire 2 code and immediately eliminate all correlation. It's 3 lines. It's genuinely 3 lines. So, there's a chance that MegaCrit patches it out tonight. There's a chance that they wait and just drop it with their normal patch that they're supposed to be dropping this Friday. But it is not something that is like they have to re-destroy the entire game and they're actually using system.random. Is that really silly to do? Yeah, it's the basic ass RNG generator. Yeah. How does this completely change all correlation? Doesn't this just change the correlation to something unknown? Yeah, but it becomes so confusing that it's not a pattern that we can recognize as the human eye. And it's also not correlating things together. It sucks that this was discovered in such a fun way where a content creator was trying to generate something really, really fun, and then they were told that they genuinely could not. If you don't know these things, you can still play the game, and it's probably still fun. For me, this is kind of broken my ability to want to play this game competitively right now. I've been wanting to get a 5 streak done, but I don't think that knowing what I know now, even if I try to ignore my bias, I don't think that I will be able to not get the 5 streak based on information that I know. Like, does knowing this actually change anything? I mean, I think Opum, literally knowing that if you are in the underdogs, you have a 75% chance to get a potion from your first combat, and if you're in the overgrowth, you have a 4%. That alone, I think that changes everything of how I play the game. I think that changes fucking everything of how I go into Act 1. It's also like that I'm being fairly cheated, that if I were to transform in Act 1, and I'm like, I really need like a card like this to get transformed, knowing that there's only 22 cards that it can transform into and not 80 cards, it's just like, oh wow. If it's not in that list, I can't even do anything. YouTube, frostprime after stream here, after I talked about that like 5-6 hours ago. I have spoken with Demi over at MegaCrit. She's the community lead person, that she's been wonderful through so many different things. She said that this is at the top of their priority list, that they have heard the community sentiment and that they are working on this and having it be the major thing that they care about right now. So hopefully we get a good update soon. No ETA yet, because we don't know how stable they want it to be on the back end before it gets pushed out live. But yeah, fucking love MegaCrit, man. The fact that they care so much when we care so much just means that this game, when it comes out in full release, is going to be the game that we want it to be. Until then, I'm going to be playing some goofy modded stuff on my stream. Today, I did What If the Watcher was added into Slay the Spire? That video will be coming out soon. I did What If the Ironclad started with 5 Birdonis eggs? Stupid fucking challenges like that. And then once the game gets fixed, then I will be going back and trying to get my 5 streak. And hopefully I'll do it quickly, and we can just blame the fact of all the pseudo RNG making it so I lost all my runs. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
He's an arsonist on a noble quest to escape the wrath of the IRS. He's got conflicting positions in the endless fight for queer folks and